Morning, everybody. You've caught me in the middle of just finishing something off. So please bear with me whilst I just do this. We have got a very, very different show for you today. I've got a few things I want to try, and I don't know if they're going to work because I'm not in my kitchen. We always joke that I make, I don't bake, and this is very, very true. However, I do bake bread most days for the kids, and keeping it fresh because they don't eat a whole loaf for breakfast, but throughout the day people will pick it up. And when it's proper homemade bread, obviously it can go very stale very, very quickly. So today we've got a waxed bread bin, bread holder if you want, but also these, which and these, I'll show you in a minute, are food bowl wraps. Now these are going to be sticky, all natural, so no problems there. It's got beeswax, jojoba oil and pine resin, so all natural, all which have antimicrobial properties, antibacterial, antifungal properties, so that it keeps your food fresh. But instead of using cling film, because I hate plastic, these cling, because the food wraps that we've done before with the beeswax are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but they don't cling. So you've either got to put an elastic band. I use the kids' hair bands. I get a new pack of hair bands and I do their sandwiches and I put hair bands around it, and that kind of thing. But these ones with the jojoba and the pine resin, they're more flexible and they create a stickiness. So I've just done my first one and look, they will. I don't know if I need to add a little bit more jojoba, so I'm just having a little play. But these ones are going to be that little bit more pliable. So we'll have a play around with those in a minute. I have got incredible fabrics for you, incredible deals for you, all sorts. Let me show you the fabrics. Good morning, by the way. I hope you are well. We're a little bit flustered this morning because we had some news about a friend's husband and it wasn't good news. So we are of the opinion today that life is for the living and to grab every opportunity that comes your way. But it did floor us a little bit and we are a little bit flustered. So good morning. I hope you are well. And let's have a look at what we've got for you today. Now, yesterday we saw Jane do her very best Madonna impression, and we were all indeed very impressed. But these are not. The number of you that are like, are these TPPP things? I'm like, I don't actually know what TPPP thing is. Apparently it's something now that you put on little boys when you're changing their nappies so they don't spray you in the face, I believe. They didn't have such. Did they have such things? I don't know. I never had such things for Freddie. But he just used to hide behind a curtain, so it's fine. Just call it his curtain of convenience. Anyway, these mean that if you have pans like this that have metal handles, my kids are just starting to cook. Freddie has now, he spent last week with his dad, and every day I would get a different YouTube video on, can we make this, can we make that, can we make this, can we make that. Like, okay, that's fine, but I don't want them burning themselves. That's the biggie. They are too small and not quite coordinated enough for the big oven gloves, but these are absolutely perfect, and you can hang them as well should you wish. So they are your options. So these are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love these an awful lot. If you need to use them for anything else, who am I to judge? Not judging. So we're going to make those today. We are also going to make this. Now, this is, someone said, well, how does that keep it fresh? This is the beeswax bread bag. So it's coated in beeswax. That keeps the moisture in. So the moisture isn't escaping. That's your major problem. And when I thought about how to design it, look, there's a lovely loaf of bread in there. All loaves are different, and often we have multiple loaves on the go. I don't know about you. But I also, on a Thursday or a Saturday, will go to the market, and they have a French baker there. So I will get a few ciabatta rolls or whatever, and I want those kept fresh as well. So I've made this big enough that you can fit rolls and loaves and everything else in, and then you just roll it down. I've gone for a good old-fashioned peg just to hold it, and that's that. And that looks so good. Look, this has got recipes on it. This is an absolutely delightful fabric range that has come in from, let me show it you, from Cloud9. Cloud9 means that this is organic, okay? This is organic cotton, which if I'm wrapping my food, I would really quite like it to be organic cotton. That works perfectly for me. And these are, let me show you these just on a bit of a close-up. Because look, these are all your different icing. All your different styles of icing. Jane loved these. She's like, oh yes. Oh yes. I'm just trying to find the name of the designer. Emily Taylor. And so I think that these are perfect kitchen fodder. So there's that one. You can, by the way, buy these individually, or we've put a bundle together with 2 plains, because I've lined these in plains. And there's over 35% off. I know I've gone mad, but we just, like I say, we had one of those mornings where we're like, do you know what? Actually, this is great. Again, all your baking bits on there. We've put in 2.5 meters of a plain as well, and then look at all the candles. And then this one has got all the different recipes on there as well. So it's an absolutely gorgeous collection. 1/2 meter of each of those. So it's 1, 2, 3 meters there for under £30. I think it's something like £27.99 we've got these up at for 3 meters of fabric, 2 meters of which is organic cotton. I don't have loads of this. I don't have loads of it. What you see is what we've got. And when it's gone, it's gone. But there we go. And look, if you are someone that makes your homemade pickles and preserves, your offcuts make fabulous little lids for those. And then, I have to tell you as well, these Liberty fabrics for today, £4.50 1/2 metre. I know I've gone mad. Like I say, we're celebrating life, aren't we? £4.50 1/2 metre. So, I've only got one of that one. That would look gorgeous in your kitchen as well. I've kind of picked the kitchen-y type ones. And again, when they're gone, they're gone. £4.50 for your Liberty fabrics. Grab them while you can. That is the price of some plains. So this one here, we've used this for linings, we've used this to back quilts, we've done all sorts. But look, because we've also got here we've got the peacocks. They are going to look fabulous, wrapped round your cheese in the different colourways. And then I think these ones are rather fab. And again, think about your cheeses wrapped in these. So when are we going to use our waxed fabrics? We're going to use these to wrap anything that isn't wet. So your cheddar cheeses and stuff like that, you're absolutely fine with. Your sandwiches, absolutely perfect. leftover vegetables, things like that, you can wrap in your wax, no bother at all. We're not putting raw meat. We're not putting raw meat in the wax. Everything else, you're pretty much good to go. And now that we're covering bowls as well, that makes life even easier. Okay. So, without further ado, should we have a little go? Now, put my little pots there. Let's start with these. Let's actually start by saying hello, shall we? Because I feel like I need to just breathe for a minute there. And let's say hello. I cannot. I can't beat that Liberty Prize. I mean, that is insane. That's basically, yeah. Diane's here, Joy's here, Rachel's here. Mine are bigger than yours. Yes, Rachel. I love that. We have got YouTubers. Good morning to YouTubers as well. We've got Tanya here. Good morning. I've had a message to say my Tilda is on the way. Yes, it will be. Holiday Oven Mitts. One of her best tunes, says Auntie Lizzie. Yes. Now then, let's have a look. We have got with us this morning, Jan's here. You see, Jan missed yesterday, and she was wondering what on earth Jane was doing. I mean, Nikki's here. We just ducked when changing the boy nappies. I'm so lucky, fingers crossed, touch, but it never happened with Freddie. Fiona's here. Welcome to a beautiful day with Natasha Makes. Jan's joined us. Laura's here. Yeah, Laura, thank you. I mean, we here are all fine. My friend is not. Chris is here. Yes, you see, she says those are a good idea for a husband who refuses to use oven gloves. Exactly that. Exactly that. Does the bread go mouldy? It's so that, I mean, it will eventually, but the thing with this is that it's going to keep it fresher for longer. And the beeswax, it's because it's antibacterial and antifungal, all of that kind of stuff. It's going to prevent. It's not going to stop it forever, but you would be eating it anyway. But it does keep it fresher. Laura says that looks lovely with a wooden peg. Mine would just be a big plastic one from the peg bag. Luckily, I have the wooden pegs for sale, Laura, so it doesn't need to be. We've got 5 there for like $1.99 or something. Julia says, morning all, husband home today, so timings are all out. They do that, don't they? Natalie's here, good morning. Jan's here, and Joe and Maria, good morning, and Susan and Brenda and Claire, good morning to all of you. So, let's have a little make, shall we? Let's start with these. You can do a circle, you can cut yourself a circle. If you've got something like the Fiskars circle cutter, then absolutely brilliant. Cut yourself a circle or a semicircle and then cut it in half. Or failing that, there are templates on the back of the pattern. Remember, our patterns are on a 3 for 2 at the moment, so you can pop multiple patterns in your basket. So you can do circles and then just cut them in half should you wish. I'm going to make a pair because then, you know, everyone loves a good pair. This is, you can use your Thermolam, you can use Insulbright. This is Insulbright. You just need something in there that is a thermal interfacing, and we've got all of those on the show. So I'm going to place my outer fabric and layer up on top there, and then on top there, and then right sides together. So if this was a patterned one, say I was lining it in something like that, then here we go. I nearly went for the closed peg thing. Just clip in place. It might move around, shimmy around a little bit if you haven't got a walking foot on, but it's really not the end of the world. Okay, so we're going to stitch around the top arc there. It's going to help if I change the angle for you. Yeah, so today's deals are pretty insane, but you know, they're there for you. Use them or don't, it's entirely up to you. If you've got a walking foot, then that might help you at this point. Because otherwise it might just overlap slightly there. Again, this isn't the end of the world. It doesn't really matter. But if you are, I know some of you are kind of perfectionists and you like everything to be absolutely just so, and you'd get upset and worried if it just overlapped. The other thing is, if you sew from the insulated side, it doesn't happen as much. So that's the other little hack to give you there. And then what we're going to do is just get our pinking shears and pink round the tops there. So this is my Hells Bells pot holder, because you know, when you pick up something that is a little bit hot, words are said, but also what made me laugh with these is that they do look like bells. And now you're going to just separate them out. You can nest the seams, so one goes one way and one goes the other. Just pop a clip in the middle there. We're going to make, if you've got ribbon, actually you could always use ribbon for your little handles. And again, if you're going to be putting these sort of on the knobs of your kitchen doors, then you might want to make the hangers a little bit longer. For me, they're just to pick things up by. They're not actually to hang anything on. But if you are hanging things on, then make them a little bit longer. So let's grab a couple of squares of those. So you can make them a little bit longer should you wish. Where did I cut those from? I did mine at 2 inches. If you want to make them slightly longer, then you can, but 2 inches wide for sure. Let's do them 2.5 inches long. And all you're going to do, fold them in half and then fold those raw edges into the middle like that. And then finger press. Just going to clip that there because I will batch sew these, and you can press them with your iron. That's no bother at all. And then we're going to sew down, whoops, both sides. Oh, okay, so the Natasha Makes Mega Bundle, you can imagine who thought of that name, can't you? Gemma's like, ha ha, finally, we can say Natasha Makes. When we had our old warehouse, I don't know why it was, but all the delivery guys there used to think that we were Natasha Bakes and not Makes, and everybody always used to laugh and just go, oh God, no, you don't want anything that she bakes, which was mean. I've tried really hard over the years to get a bit better at it. I think the fact that I poisoned Gemma a couple of times, not meaning to, but she doesn't like eggs and she can't eat cheese. So when I did cheese soup and she, you know, like Stilton and broccoli soup or something. I mean, the hint was in the name, wasn't it? Really. Don't know why I have to take responsibility for that. Anyway, fold that in half. Folded end goes into... you've got the folded end here, then you've got the middle, and then you've got the other folded end there. So your outer fabrics are right sides together, your lining fabrics are right sides together, and on the outer fabric side, right at that folded edge end, you're going to pop that in. And then we're going to sew across there, and then down there, and leave a turning through gap there. And we will do that with both. Yeah, so half a dozen left on these bundles. Like I say, it equates to better than 35% off. When they're gone, they are jolly well gone. That's all I can say there. Perfect. You see, I really wanted to do some kitchen bunting or something with them as well. I thought that would look lovely. Haven't got around to it yet. Like I say, my morning's been a little bit up in the air, but give it a go. And when it's gone, it's gone. You know, it's the fact that it is the last of it, which is why we can give you that discount. So then you're going to turn these through the right way. Oh, Gemma says she can't eat blue cheese, and I didn't declare it was in there. Kind of did. Anyway, anywho, she lived to tell a tale. I mean, whether or not it's got anything to do with the fact that she now works from home, feels it's safer. I don't know. Who knows? But I do bake. I do regularly use our duck eggs and stuff for baking. I'm just going to close off. Oh yeah, and Jim doesn't like eggs either. So, because we have so many chicken eggs. Someone said to me the other day, how is your son so tall? What are you feeding him? Because Freddie's nearly as tall as me at 11. It's like, well, he happily have steak and eggs for breakfast. I have just missed that seam there. I can stitch that back later. Let me do this on the other one. Do just check your stitching. I'll have to unpick that turning through gap on the other one and just resew that seam. So yeah, just double check that you have caught everything everywhere. Preferably before you know, sew up your turning through gap. It's only a job of moments to unpick it, but as we are doing a multi-makes day, that is not the thing, is it? Remember, you get free postage on orders over £75, and if you are going for the Liberty as well, which I would highly recommend you do because I think it's going to look utterly gorgeous with all these kitchen makes. Remember, that is just £4.50 a half metre, which is insane. So now we are going to just top stitch around that edge. And that's how easy these are, really and truly, to make. But yeah, we just, at the moment, because, you know, the kids are trying to cook and whatnot, oven gloves are just a bit big and a little bit cumbersome. And also, I don't want a massive oven glove if I'm just lifting the lid off a pot. Like, I don't want to be bothered with that, whereas this can just sit on the side and I'm done. That's easy. And we'll all have a giggle with it, which is even better. There you go. Done. Done, done, done. So that is one of today's makes. Knew these bags would come in handy at some point. These boxes, rather. Right, let's have a look at these bags then. What am I going to make this one out of? What did I do with all the fabric? That's the next question. I put it in here. Here we go. We will very merrily make one here. Okay. So you can make yours smaller if you want, if you have a certain size loaf that you like to go for, and that's fine. But I've done one that will fit the biggest, chunkiest of loaves. Or if you're like us and you're a family where, you know, you buy multi-loaves, or I bake, like I say, I do bake a lot of loaves, then that's also good. So you can adapt the measurements should you wish. That's entirely up to you. And obviously the pattern gives you all of those measurements. Then we are good to go. We have got organic beeswax. So today's fabric is organic, from Cloud9. Beautiful organic fabric, which at those prices we can all say is absolutely crazy. We've done, was it 100 gram bags? 100 gram bags. Bearing in mind the wax bars that we brought to wear last time we did the wax wraps, they were 30 grams. This isn't a full bag, obviously I've dipped into mine. But I might need another one because I've done quite a few of these now. Yes, so that just bear that in mind. We've got the pegs on sale. They're great. Just love those pegs. And you've got 5 there because then you can always, if you need to, you know, make a little clothes peg doll. I have not, I've not introduced Emily to the joy of a clothes peg doll. I haven't done it yet. Right, so you're going to end up with a big piece of fabric like this. On your top edge, there's not a right or wrong way with this particular fabric, but along that top edge, fold it over by about ½ inch and then press. And again, all of these measurements are loose. You can change them up a bit. It's entirely up to you. This is what I've found has worked for me. So we're going to press that top seam over by approximately ½ inch. I was looking for, and I can't find it, which is really annoying because this is the time that it comes in useful, my Modi Edge Shaper. And it's since I've had a clear out and I've put it somewhere useful. But it's like a silicone coated sheet, straight sheet that you can use to measure when you turn a hem over. It's just absolutely brilliant, and we've got them in the warehouse, and I've got my own because, like I say, I use it. It's great. Can I find it? What have I done with it? I've tidied. I shouldn't tidy. This is the universe telling me, isn't it? Don't tidy. It's like the day the house got struck by lightning when I was trying to revise my maths at the kitchen table, and the lightning came through the light I was sitting under, missed me by like that much. Again, a sign. Shouldn't have been doing maths. I took it as a sign anyway. My parents did not quite see it like that. They saw it as a bit of an inconvenience and a big old insurance bill because it blew all the electrics in the house. And what are the odds of that? When I was sort of 17 or so, and my parents started trusting me to look after the house so they could go places, and all these weird and wonderful things started happening, like the house got struck by lightning, there were flash floods, and I couldn't get back for the lambs. and I made friends with this guy that had an amazing car. That it was a Range Rover. I'm just going to have to do this in a thread that really doesn't go, and it sort of lifted up its suspension. It was, you know, we're going back 20 odd years, and I'm being kind to myself, way more than 20 odd years, and it was just incredible. And he got me through the floods so that I could get home to feed my lambs. And all these things just started happening every time Mum and Dad went away. And they didn't believe me about the floods until they saw it on the national news. And yeah, the house got struck by lightning, all sorts of stuff happened. It was really bizarre. Anyway, got over that now. Thank goodness. So we've got that top seam sewn, and then we're going to French seam this because I don't really want... Jane and I, when we were talking about this, I was like, I could just pinking shear it. She said, yes, you could, but, if you pinking shear, there is still a chance of a little bit of thread coming off, and you just don't really want that. What was that? No, Jane, you are wise and correct. So I'm going to 1/8 of an inch it. If you cannot sew a straight line that narrow, just cut it back afterwards. Sew a wider one, cut it back afterwards. This is not a problem, okay? Really not a problem. I'm going to have to trim this one back because it's not quite straight. And that's okay. If you have got a fabric that actually, you know, blends, great. Not fabric, thread. Use that. There we are. Okay, and then we turn this through the other way. You might want to give it a press just to keep that seam well away. I mean, all these different things you use in dressmaking, don't you? Including my edge selvage, shaper thing that I can't find. Yesterday I took a photo of Jane with Mihel's bells, and I was like, "Shall we send that to your husband?" And she was laughing, and then I remembered that we had young Monty in with us yesterday, who's only 17, and we were perhaps being ever so slightly inappropriate, and. Yeah, Cynthia says, what an assortment of kitchen gifts to make. Well, they are, you know, if someone's moving into a new home, absolutely perfect. Yeah, we did realise that we were possibly being a little immature. So I would do a generous 1/4 of an inch then, just to make sure that you cover that seam, and just so you don't have any raw edges. And if when you turn it through you can still see some of your edges, well, you know, go back through and sew a wider seam. This is not the edge of the world, end of the world. Edge of the world, end of the world. I got something caught in there. Yes, I was about to sew my offcuts. It's like I can feel something a little bit strange in there. And then we're going to turn it back through. There's a lot of turning back through on this one, by the way. And you don't have to poke the corners all the way out, but what you do have to do is get, and you can do this, oh, that bread smells so good. we're going to measure 4 inches across. If you've got the seam there, then yeah, that will sit on your 2-inch line. Draw it, sew on that line, and we'll do that on both sides. And where you do have the two, because you've got the folded side one end, and then you've got this side which has got 2 seams, just nestle those seams, because then you know that you've got them in the middle as much as you can, to then measure across. There we go, and again sew. And then when you trim your seam back, just trim it back nice and close, so that again you can turn it through. Or even if you don't want to cut it, you can turn it through and you can cut it with your scissors nice and close if you want. But either way, we're then going to turn it through, and once again you can press it if you want. Just going to finger press and just stitch so that you don't see any more edges. They are then encapsulated, and this is one robust bag. Okay, and that's what we're looking for here. Longevity. You only want to have to make one of these once. You can, with the wax, you can wipe it clean, and you can wipe it in cold soapy water. Obviously if you heat it up, then the wax is going to melt, which is exactly what we want here. So there are 2 ways to do this, the waxing. One is with an iron, I'll show you that in a minute, and the other is in the oven. Set it to 150 degrees. Okay, and then we are going to layer it up. Now I do this in my oven. I don't have an oven on this set, obviously, so I'm going to improvise with the air fryer. It's not, like I say, in your oven you can use a proper baking tray, cookie tray, anything like that. Oh, Cynthia, if you're after other kitchen goodies, the grippies are brilliant. So if you can't undo a jam jar, they go on top there. And if you're really, really struggling, hold the actual jam jar as well with another grippy. So I'd always sell them in pairs or make them in pairs and then turn. These are brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And we've got the grippy fabric. Super, super simple. These are the beeswax that we made before. We did them with double buttons on so that you can fold and fold and fold, and then you can just put elastic around. We use like hairbands or whatever, clean ones obviously, around there so that you've always got the right size. So we've made these waxes before. This is another one, and I've taken these out my drawers. These are the ones that we use on the regular. So top up on the wax if you need to with these, then you can always re-wax them just by, again, popping them in a baking tray and doing all of that. This doesn't fit in my Ninja, so I've got to try and do this another way, which may or may not work okay. Fingers crossed, but we'll see. It works brilliantly in an oven. So what we're going to do is put Teflon sheet. So imagine this is our baking tray effectively. And a baking tray, a Teflon sheet I can put on there. And then, Jane, could I have some more beeswax, please? You're going to sprinkle some beeswax on there and then place that on top. Sprinkle some more, and you can sprinkle beeswax through the layers as well. So you just, when it melts, you want it to have that coating. So we've got another sprinkling there, and then fold it on top there to add, thank you, to add even more. So this is organic. So we've got organic cotton, we've got organic beeswax. We are good to go. Get that sprinkling on there. 150 degrees. We'll let that do its thing. Okay. And it really doesn't take very long at all. In the meantime, let's just clear the surface a little bit here. Nothing like having a little experimental. These, oh, we've got these as well on the show, and these are the scrapers. So if when you do it you haven't spread your wax out well enough, then that is absolutely fabulous. What I'm looking for is, just want to protect my mat, so I'm just going to put a silicone mat down here. So yeah, that is all starting to have a good old melt up in there, which is awesome. And you don't, honestly, you don't want that on too high. Now, let's get ready for this, because I'm just going to give that wax. There we go. Oh no, a bit of grease has come off the pan. That's a shame. So, if you need to, you'll get the idea. Look, a little bit of grease there. Never mind. Like I say, you'll be doing this in your oven. You can use your spreader to spread the wax. Okay, and you've got the wax under there, so that's all spreading on. Now, if you don't want to use your oven, the oven is the easiest way. Like a proper oven, not my attempt at creating an oven in the studio. That is your easiest way. I'm going to take this out from underneath so that I can apply a little bit of heat on there and just finish that off here. There we go. Okay. So you've got your wax in there. Like I say, if you use it in the oven, that is your easiest way. If you don't have Teflon sheets or anything like that, baking sheets also work a treat. So you can just melt your wax with an iron. In the oven works best. I don't want to get any more grease on this because I like this. And so you can see that wax is melting through. If it's not in the oven, I can open that out, can't I? And put that on there. In the oven, it just works so well. So that would be, like I say, my very first go-to. Because it also melts it nice and evenly. But if you are doing it like this and you need to spread it through, then that's going to spread your wax. And you'll do that all the way through until you've got your bag like so. And look, I've got clumps here because I'm not going to finish this on here, but that then, when it's dry and it's cooled, that will open, and then you pop your bread in there, just roll that down and pop your peg in. But honestly, my best tip would be do this in the oven. That is your best bet. Let's move that out the way. And then let's have a look at this. Now, these are the wraps with the resin. Now you want to use a 2-to-1 ratio with beeswax and pine resin. We're not selling the pine resin. I will put a link to the one that I've used, and all I did, I put this in my blender this morning. Pine resin gives you the grip, okay, so that's why we use pine resin, because it's grippy. And I did have to laugh this morning because when I was looking on the back of the packet, it's like, and you can use it for grip on your pole dancing pole. I'm like, no. Again, not that kind of show. By the time that we've got Jane with her tassels and all of that, it's like, no, what kind of a show? So then you're going to put your pellets on top, and again, you can put this in the oven. And I would really recommend putting this in the oven because that is how you are going to get the best effect. And also, if you put it in the oven, any excess wax just goes to the bottom. It doesn't just sort of sit there. So the oven, I would say, is absolutely your best bet. This is like second rate, just to give you an idea of how to do it. And the pellets are an absolute game changer because they're so much easier than the wax bars that we had to welt in a double boiler and all that kind of stuff. So the wax, obviously, also antibacterial and all of that. Your pine resin, antimicrobial. I put way too much wax on there. And then this is the other thing, is jojoba oil. Now, Gemma and I were saying jojoba oil, brilliant. And you just want to pop a few little drops on there like that. Now that's just going to stop the wax from cracking, give it that little bit more durability. It's also very penetrative. Yes, it is. Which is fabulous. And again, you can use way less because you're going to get your scraper, aren't you? You're going to get your scraper, and then you can scrape any excess just to one side and use it for your next wrap. Because once this is all melted together and you've got that lovely sort of concoction, then you can either scrape it through, or if you've got more like I have, just scrape it off to one side. And that'll come off because this is a Teflon sheet, so that will come off anyway. We have put a table of amounts, so for those of you that don't want to wing it in terms of quantities, we've put a table of proper quantities on there for you. And so this is just going to have a little bit more bend in it, a little bit more stick to it. That's what your resin is in there for. But take that excess off, because otherwise, you know, the one that I did earlier, it's because there's too much on there. This one, there's too much. So what I would do, knowing that, is to, when I'm not in a rush, I'll heat that through again and scrape off the excess, and that will make it far easier to use. But these, like I say, these fold over the bowls. So what I would do is get whichever bowl or whatever it is that you want to use these for. If you've got like your favourite, I have a bowl. We've all got a favourite bowl, haven't we? I've got a favourite bowl that I do coleslaws in. We get through a lot of coleslaw in our house because I make fermented cabbage, which goes into our coleslaw, because that's very good for your gut health. And I put it with a little bit of raw cabbage in as well, so you've still got the crunch. So we have a lot of coleslaws, and I've got a favourite bowl. I've got a favourite bowl for that, and it doesn't have a lid. So actually, these would be perfect, and I would make one specifically for that bowl because it's a big one. It's a really big one. Honestly, you should see like the way that Freddie and Josh go at coleslaw. It's quite simple, but it's a great way to get all of that fruit and veg in them. Sometimes put a little bit of apple in for sweetness. That's very nice. And so you can see, look, I've got all of that spare, and this is why we have the scraper, so we can just scrape that off. But because that's got that jojoba oil in, that is more pliable. So let's put that on our bowl. There, like I say, just make it a couple of inches bigger than your bowl. And that's got more manoeuvrability. If you want to make it a bit more sticky, add a little bit more resin on there. But what I'm kind of after is for it to just fold over. There we go, which it will do. And hold its shape. I just need that to dry. It's still a bit wet, but that is the premise of how you do it. You will use the quantities in the proper proportions, but again, just being able to cover your bowls is great. And of course they're pliable. These ones are pliable, you see. So the wax that's why you've got this fold in it. If you just go with pure wax, it's not as bendy. You can use these directly onto food as well. Just make sure you don't have like a pine nut allergy or anything like that, in which case that's not going to be the one for you. So we've done food wraps, we've done bread bag, we've done Hell's Bells pot holders. We've done the lot this morning, and we've brought you fabric at incredible prices. I mean, like really, really silly. Liberty at, like I say, £4.50 a half metre on all of, oh, hello, my thing's frozen. Bear with me, caller. No, not that one, that one. There you go. Yeah, all of these Liberties, £4.50 a half metre. And the big mega bundle, 3 metre bundle with better than 35% off. Can't say more than that. Let me just pop that to one side because, crikey, I've made a mess. I've got half metre heavens for you. They are half metre heavens tomorrow, and the odd little perfect pairing. And I've got 2 bolt ends to show you as well before we go. So, Jane and I were looking at projects to do for her next week, and we found something with shock cotton, and then realised that these were the only shot cottons we had left. And then we realised that those shot cottons from K Facet look incredibly gorgeous together. So we've done them as a trio. I've only got 4 and then they're gone. These go live at midnight tonight on our website, natashamakes.com. And so that's where you can find them. It's first come, first served. Like I say, they go live at midnight. They're all programmed to go live at midnight. It just staggers the loading for poor Gemma. We have got for you Kaif Pennywise with apple. I know this is going to be a really, really hard one to photograph, so please do look at this and know that you've got that sort of acidy yellowy green colour. We love that. So these will be $10.99 a pair. We couldn't hold it at $9.99. Fabric prices have just gone up too much on those half metre heavens. Odile Bael here, this is your language of flowers, which reminds me, if you want Odile's velvet panels, your order needs to go in today, please, so that we can get that order in and then they will ship it across to us. I have picked in here this beautiful teal background here. We've put it with the Baltic and it's just so rich and so beautiful. I've got one of these. This is your Leicester in Aqua. This is the K Facet Recolouring William Morris. I've got one left and we've picked out that raspberry there for you, which is just gorgeous. I do have a perfect pairing because I don't know why I didn't see this before. But look at this and this. It's just stunning. You've got a Cave polka dot and Brandon's Pasha Paisley. And then we've put the marble scallop blue with lavender. How gorgeous is that? And then you have got your fruit in cobalt. And again, we've put that with apple. It just works. It just works. And then your Kaif and Morris Michaelmas Daisy pink. We've popped that with buttercup. How fresh and yummy is that? And then your Kaif turquoise, your oak. We've popped that with pomegranate. It was previously with... It was with an Aboriginal dot of a simmer colour, but this is for Half Meter Heaven escapades. We've done that. Now this is an art gallery fabric, Pat Bravo one. Look at these birds. They are so pretty. I'm going to put that on a little close up for you, so you can just appreciate how pretty this fabric is. I like Pat Bravo. And we've picked out that magenta. Pow! And put that together there. In fact, I might just do the rest of these on a little close-up, because what I would love you to see is this. Now this is Chandelier Small. But look, if you love your aquas, you've got, it's like a mosaic, but there is like this minty colour, and we've popped it with that. It's really, really lovely. We have got a bolt end, a Liberty bolt end there, 1.8 metres. And we have got a bolt end of the Tilda, a bloom mushroom. That's the last of that. These two will be loaded today, those bolt ends. We don't have a lot of bolt ends left, actually. Turn that off and unplug it. Health and safety and all that. That's today's show. Thank you ever so much for watching. Friday deals as normal this week. Those Half Meter Heavens go live at midnight tonight. Patterns are still on a 3 for 2 because I realise that we've got quite a few patterns going on today. So let us help you out with that. Thank you ever so much for watching. I will see you on Monday. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.